Now these last few months, something about life just feels different. People seem more disconnected, more distracted, more tired, almost drained in a way that's hard to describe in one sentence. And everyone I've spoken to personally tells me they feel it as well. You see it everywhere, even in entertainment. Music doesn't hit the same because people don't feel the same. Modern movies don't last like they used to. Nothing sticks, nothing's memorable. And honestly, even friendships feel different too. Like friends aren't really friendening like before. The question I've been asking myself is, what exactly changed these last few years? Is this just a sign of the times, or is it exactly what Kendrick Lamar was pointing out, the shift happening right now in our culture? On September 11th, 2024, Kendrick Lamar dropped a song called Watch the Party Die. At first, people propped it up as another response to the explosive rap beef he had with Drake. And honestly, most people who didn't really listen still think that's what it was about. But on this track, Kendrick wasn't focused on the beef at all. He was speaking on where the rap game was heading, the culture, and the music industry as a whole. How everything started feeling hollow, material, surface level, and how the energy around music was quietly fading away. And about 13 months later, the numbers reflected it. Like we spoke about a few weeks ago, rap completely fell out of the Billboard Top 40 for the first time in 35 years. And the wild part is the last rap song still holding on before that drop-off was Kendrick's own record with SZA. It's called Luther. That song had an incredible 13-week run at number 1, and it stayed on the chart for almost a full year. But when it finally slipped below the top 40, rap disappeared from the list entirely. And if you think about it, it was kind of symbolic because the same artists who have been calling out the disconnect happening within the culture ended up being the final one holding that spot before everything shifted. It wasn't just a chart moment. It was the confirmation of what he already predicted was coming. And that's where the rap side of this conversation becomes an entry point into something bigger, because Drake and Kendrick represent two completely different sides of the spectrum. On one hand, Drake to a lot of people embodies the flashy, material, surface level side of rap and society. The lifestyle, the aesthetics, the luxury. That's the version of him people focus on the most. But the truth is, of course, Drake does have depth. He's actually one of the most emotionally introspective artists of our generation. It's just that the parts of him people choose to celebrate the most aren't the parts with the most substance. Meanwhile, Kendrick to a lot of people represents the opposite. The introspective, spiritually heavy, socially aware lane of rap that's always been there, but doesn't get the same spotlight. And this isn't about comparing both of these artists because they're both great in their own way, and it's not really about the issues they had in the past. It's bigger than that. It's the duality between them that says something about the moment we're currently in. Two artists at the top of the same genre, but representing two completely different energies. And the reason why their duality matters is because it reflects a split we're seeing everywhere, not just in culture, but in the way things are moving right now. On one side is noise, constant stimulation, trends, distractions, the pressure to always be on. The other side is depth, slowing down, protecting your peace, trying to stay grounded and real. And if you look around, most people are getting pulled towards the noise, not because they choose it, but because it's the easiest thing to fall into. It's everywhere and it's loud. And when you zoom out, it makes a lot of sense. We're living in a time of extreme abundance, endless content, endless opinions, endless stimulation. Everything is loud, constant, and spiritually draining. And Kendrick actually said this directly in the song. He has a line where he goes, "They wonder why I'm not enthused to drop. The more visible you get, the more your spiritual is tried." And a lot of us have seen the price that comes with being seen in this digital age. It's like if you don't post, you don't exist. If you're not constantly showing up online, people forget about you even faster. The more exposure you have, the more you're on people's minds. But the real question is, what are we giving up in exchange for that visibility? Because every time we post, every time we share, every time we try to stay relevant, the algorithm takes a piece of us. Not literally, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It rewards whatever keeps people scrolling, whatever keeps the machine running. And that's the part a lot of us don't see. You're not just feeding an audience, you're feeding a system that doesn't care about your well-being, your peace, or your sanity. And this is a big reason why so many people today are pushing back against all of it. I mean, you can really feel it. People don't want to be constantly watched anymore. People don't want to perform their lives 24/7. People are tired of being on all the time because a lot of us are already on, just trying to survive everyday life. Work, bills, pressure, expectations. Most people barely have enough energy for themselves, let alone an audience. A lot of us have hit a limit, a point where the noise, the stimulation, the pressure just doesn't feel good anymore. You see it in how people express themselves on social media. You see it in how people date. You see it in how people talk to each other. There's a slow collective turn happening. It's almost like people are pulling back from the dysfunction they used to be attracted to. And that's exactly the space Kendrick was speaking from. This actually reminds me of something Jack Harlow said a few years ago. He talked about how being famous makes people feel entitled to your private life. And Jack used this example of, people wanting access to everything. He said he doesn't want people knowing what his day looks like, doesn't want people inside his room, meaning the intimate parts of his life, and quite literally, his room. He doesn't want people to know who he's dating, because once you give enough, people will take everything. And the way he handled it was simple: cut off access.
I don't want you to know what my 24 hours are like. I don't want you to see the inside of my room. I don't want you to see. I want that for me. I don't want you to know who I'm dating. I don't want you to know this and that. I want something for me, because if you do enough, they'll take it all from you. It's all for them if you give them enough. So that's one thing I've learned, is cut off some access.
Now, most of us aren't famous, and you don't have to be to understand or relate. A lot of people feel the same exact pressure in their regular lives. I mean, if you have one of these devices right here, that means that practically anyone else who has that same device has access to you, and you're supposed to perform, update, respond, explain, entertain all the time. What Jack said wasn't really about fame. It was about the human need to protect yourself, to have something that's yours, to not feel like the world owns every piece of you. And that's the same energy Kendrick was talking about. Now, when we talk about Kendrick specifically, he's in a different position, obviously. He's famous, his visibility is very global, the pressure is different, the expectations hit harder. But I don't think this line is just about him. It's about all of us living in a time where being seen comes with a cost. And the question always becomes, what exactly is that cost? An artist once told me something I'll never forget. If you want to succeed in this game, you can't control everything. You have to surrender to your pain. Meaning you can't keep trying to manage every single version of yourself people see inside their head. At some point, you have to stop performing and just be. And Kendrick talked about something that's related a few years ago in a completely different way. He talked about being a vessel, not just as an artist, but as someone who feels like his flaws, his pain, his honesty, all of it flows through him so other people can learn from it. He said his ideas don't come from him, they come through him.
I mean, we are spiritual beings, and that's something I can't never run from in music. I always felt like God used me as a vessel, whether to show my flaws, whether to show my intellect, to show my pain, to show my hurt, to share my stories. These words, these are ideas that's coming way beyond me.
So when you listen to what he said, the more visible you get, the more your spiritual is tried. You realize he's not exaggerating, he's speaking from experience, from the weight of being watched, judged, analyzed, consumed every single day. And even if we're nowhere near that level of visibility, a lot of people felt a version of that in 2025. This year, so many people hit a level of exhaustion we haven't felt in a long time. The world shifted in ways we didn't fully notice while it was happening. Things feel more fleeting. People feel more fleeting. Everything we thought was solid suddenly feels temporary. A lot of us chase things we were sure would fulfill us. Success, validation, attention, relationships, material goals. And then we got them and realized they weren't actually carrying us forward. They weren't feeding us. They weren't aligning with who we were becoming. A lot of us had moments where we looked at things that we wanted really badly in the past and we just quietly admitted to ourselves, this right here is not going to take me to where I'm trying to go. And that realization obviously hurts because it means the past version of you can't survive the future you're stepping into. One of the best descriptions of what so many people felt in 2025 actually came from Erykah Badu last year. She talked about that moment in life when you're evolving, but also realizing you have to let go of the version of yourself that can take you forward. The version that feels familiar but doesn't serve you anymore.
Realizing that I had to leave some things behind, some parts of me behind. So it felt like a funeral of sorts, because you have a part of you has to die. Every time you evolve, you got to leave it back there. You want it because it's familiar. A lot of times we like to resort to the familiar, even if it's toxic.
She described that emotional funeral we all go through, that painful moment when a part of your old self has to be left behind. Not because it was bad, but because it just can't carry you into the next season of your life. And that's where this whole idea of transformation starts to make sense. I see it almost like a metamorphosis, a caterpillar starting as an egg, moving through every stage, reshaping and eventually becoming a butterfly. Nature shows us that every version of us has seasons, and some seasons have to end for the next one to begin. And Kendrick taps into that same energy too. In the second verse, he says, "I see a new earth, filled with beautiful people making humanity work." Now, the phrase new earth is mostly connected to the Bible. Kendrick has always been open about his faith. He's a Christian, baptized at the age of 16 and again at 20. But outside of that context, New Earth has taken on a much broader meaning today. For a lot of people, it's not about religion at all. It's simply a way to describe the feeling that life is changing. The world we knew even 5 years ago doesn't feel the same. And whether it's relationships, technology, culture or our own personal growth, you can feel that we as humans have changed too. And maybe that's why the party feels like it's dying. Not because things fell apart, but because we outgrew the version of ourselves that kept showing up there. 2025 was the year the noise stopped being entertaining. People didn't walk away from the party because it ended. They walked away because they were tired of losing themselves in the crowd. And that's the real point Kendrick was making. Or so I think. That's my interpretation. The party wasn't just music or culture or the industry. It was us, the version of ourselves we kept dragging from year to year, even when we knew it wasn't taking us anywhere. And maybe the reason why it feels like everything is ending is because something new is finally beginning. If you made it this far, drop a like, because this was obviously a very stimulating conversation. You made it till the end. And yeah, it looks like we're basically in 2026. I hope whatever chapter you're stepping into next is full of clarity, alignment, and a lot of good things. And I, of course, appreciate you guys for rocking out with your boy yet another year. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. See you in 2026. Hopefully I drop this video in time.